Fire Escape Engineers Inspector Summary video. Here we are in Rochester, New Hampshire. And we have it here as a pre-existing non-conforming fire escape here on a building that I believe is used as an orphanage. And we have the fire escape here, which must be structurally sound, must be kept painted. So it has not been kept painted, it needs a paint job. And it's not structurally sound, we have some issues. The NFPA Life Safety 101 requires that a fire escape be load tested, or you provide them other evidence of strength as a form of certification. We can't do that. It does not pass the confidence examination that I'm performing as we speak right now, so we cannot proceed immediately to a load test. She does require some repairs, and then she can be load tested, or at this time, if she wishes to be fully refurbed, there is going to be no load test. But we do have a fire escape that I estimate to be 75 plus years old. Has been painted, but because of its white nature, you see a lot more rust than you would do on a darker fire escape. We have tread issues, we have rust issues in the corners, we have posts. So she does have structural issues, but not major structural issues that is common for a fire escape this old. So she has been, to a certain degree, well painted, and that has kept down a lot of the possible work here. So with that, all original hardware on this fire escape. There's no emergencies that I can see right now as we speak. She is through bolted into the building here. As you can see, 2 through bolts here. And she does have the bracket. Oh, we also have bees down there. Just so you know, that hole that I was just pointing to, that there. There's bees in there. So they've made a home. So you probably need to have that plugged, and there's a bee going in there now. You want to have that so in case there's any workers here, nobody gets stung. So with that, here's what needs to be done. First, we can spot repair this existing fire escape. So primarily all these treads and all those treads down there need to be changed out, because I have evidence of rust in the connection of these treads. So once you do that, we then can proceed to the load test. On some of these in this corner, as you can see here, look at all that rust in the corner there. And all these original hardware, in a spot repair, we would come back and identify every single connection that has rust in. So you change this bolt, but you might keep this bolt, because we've identified rust in that connection but no rust in that connection. Once you've spot repaired all the marked repairs under the engineer oversight drawing or photographs, then you can proceed immediately to the load test. Or to avoid the load test, if we change out every fastener or reinforce every connection, if there's room for a reinforcement bolt, then there is no load test on this fire escape. And then you must keep it painted. So let's take a look at some of the concerns I found. So rust, original hardware, rusted out corner right there. These gratings these are a component. These have little rods that go through this, plus they also have spacers. A lot of times you need to reinforce those with a clip underneath and a spacer holder so that these never let go and people's feet don't go through. The original hardware there, those that are in good condition are going to stay. Any ones that are in bad condition are going to need to be changed out. Primarily, a lot of these treads, 100% of these treads are going to get changed out the bolts. There's just a lot of rust buildup. You got to get all this crud out of here. But you know, there's already evidence that the water has penetrated this one more than the one down below. Now, the other issue, too, is older than 1978, all these fire escapes are presumed to have lead. So whoever's going to scrape and paint this must have an EPA renovator's license in order to scrape and properly collect the chips, don't cause a contamination issue. And that's per the EPA guidelines when it comes to lead on a fire escape. See all the rust buildup in that? That's all got to get cleaned out. Every joint that you put everything back, it got to be cleaned, spot wire brushed, spot primed, then silicone shut. And then you put everything back and you silicone shut all these connections so that the water doesn't get it back into these connections anymore. So you got a lot of scraping, a white fire escape. The footing over there is starting to it was tarred in there, but we need to identify just what that's doing. That's a lot of weight holding this entire fire escape system. So that needs to be basically investigated to make sure that it's proper, which it looks, but it looks like it already has a lot of tar cracks, and that water's probably getting in there and causing some damage on that roof. Otherwise, we need to re-tar that so that basically she's not letting any water get into. And a lot of times, the rubber roof guy would come in there and do that proper job. He would basically clean that up and then close it all up with rubber and be at least 12 inches above grade on that pipe. All original hardware, so these rivets can stay, and then we load test with a lateral load test for a railing. Or changing this rivet out, there is no load test for the fire escape. And again, this would be a major bolt, this would be a minor structural, which does not need, but then this will be major. So there's major structural and minor structural. As you start getting into the feet, see the feet sitting on that piece of wood there? That has to be at least a doubled up 2x, so that way when you need to do rubber roofs, you can remove the roof from underneath because you got 3 inches to play with. On that side, it's just, as you can see, they've put something down, but it's already, if it was pressure treated, it's on its way out. So you need to get some doubled, usually like 3 inches, but if minimally 1.5 inches is all you need. And so if that means you have to cut a little bit of this iron out so you can raise this a little bit, that's what you have to do. We got rust built up in the joints, as you can see. But as we start getting further down, you're going to see a little bit more damage on this. So a lot of times you try not to have, like as you can see here, you know, these are just nailed in. That's improper. And then you got to seal it so that the stain doesn't get the stain on the wall. This one's just floating in the air. It's not doing anything, as you can see there. But you want to try to get a piece of wood underneath those. This is, I don't know what this is here for, but a lot of times you need this to be a continuous catwalk system onto that side over there. But sometimes the authority having jurisdiction will allow us to put in cement stones like this, and basically so when people step off of this, they step on stone. This is almost 2 inch thick, and if the city official will allow this to be a pre-existing non-conforming, so that they don't step on this roof, you step on stone, so you can get 2 or 3 foot stones, and you basically create a stone walkway made of cement, and it basically lets you feed this fire escape here. Okay. Again, a lot of this has to do with the city official, who will see a copy of this report. It's he that will tell us whether or not we need a permit for some of this activity. He'll tell us whether or not he wants engineer oversight, and whether or not he wants a construction, the final document to be signed by a registered professional or others acceptable to the building official, as per the IFC code for 2012 states on the 5-year rule now for the IFC 2012. Now you got all this fire escape treads similar to the treads here. These, as you can see, there's a little bow on them because that's rust jacking and ice jacking working in tandem together. But these and these here are not as bad, so these can be spot repaired and then load tested, or you can just change out all these bolts. And again, if you change out all the fasteners on the major structural, there is no load test, and on average that could get you 15 to 25 years. Otherwise, as per the IFC 2012, now every fire escape must be examined every 5 years as well as load tested every 5 years. The code used here in New Hampshire is the NFPA Life Safety 101. They want, the code reads, the authority having jurisdiction shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength a fire escape certification. So let's take a look at going down. You got some rust build up in here. Again, got to open these up, take out all the rust, clean it, prime it, and then silicone shutter so that the water doesn't get back in there. Any original hardwood that's in good order stays, but this one wouldn't be one of them. As you can see, all the rust build up there. Okay, so these are the kind of things. Even rust will split cast iron, so that's a fall hazard. So we got to get that off of there. And these corners, you got to basically secure these corners so no more debris gets in those, because those will rot out your C-channels also. So as you're going down, you're going to see a lot of scraping. Don't forget, the EPA renovator's license is required because a lot of these are sitting on a base paint of lead. Okay, so a lot of these have, because it's older than 78, it's presumed to have lead unless you tell us from a licensed New Hampshire lead inspector that the fire escape has no lead. But you can see already some of the rust already building up in here. That means this tread's got to get taken out, clean that area, prime it, put it back, put a new bolt, silicone shut the top. Any paint job that's going to be done on this fire escape should include a full siliconization of every major and possibly every minor connection on this entire staircase. So as you can see, this staircase is much better than the other one. But again, you're going to have evidence that things are happening. It's pulling out of the building here. Okay? So, and that again, that's just a stabilizer bar. So what we could do is open this up, or let sleeping dogs lie, and we'll put another bracket somewhere else that basically will pull this back in, and that will basically leave that inside buried without having to touch this unique siding, which could be difficult to find the replacement. See all that rust in that connection? So these are the kind of things that you're going to be dealing with as all that rust got to be removed. Okay, we've got a gusset here. This thing is so long. This is like 20-something treads. It's pre-existing non-conforming. We were not allowed to build such a long staircase without a mid-break in this. So this is, again, pre-existing non-conforming. Look how tight this gusset is. Nice and tight, but look how on this side it's got rust inside the gusset already. So all this gusset needs to be done. We got rust happening on the inside. And similar to some of the other fire escapes, they've buried this into the ground. We've got to get that last tread out of there and use either a cement pad, because that won't do well and it'll keep rotting out the base and it'll keep failing the fire escape. So this needs to be one of two things. We can bury that tread in a new pad over here, which sometimes can be done, you know, a 2-foot by 4-foot wide pad, or sometimes you can get in a piece of granite, curbstone, and you basically dig in and around this stuff, and you create a pad. You put the granite in there, and the granite sits 2 to 4 inches above grade, and then you rest on top of the granite that's sitting on a very compact bed of dirt. Since this is pretty much settled as far as it can go, you can also alleviate some of the pressure by putting in a mid post here to alleviate some of the pressure that's totally concentrated there, but that is rotting into the ground. And so you got to address this bottom with a plan. Usually it involves getting rid of that tread. You've got all original hardware except for this. You know, they fixed one tread on here. That's what a fix looks like, and that's what hex heads look like. But that's what square heads look like. Every single one of these is square heads. So this fire escape has not had any maintenance in its lifetime, other than a couple of minor things, but not enough to say that it was properly maintained over time. It's been painted over time, but not maintained over time. We got a footing here. We recommend that these footings get painted so that they stop absorbing water, and we recommend that the iron basically get a clip on there so that there's at least some pressure down. Otherwise, if this angle keeps pushing down, it'll split this cement here. So if you put an angle foot here compressing down, it's going to last. It's going to make this wraparound that they put here last a little longer. And then we recommend that you tar the feet 8 to 12 inches so that the snow builds up. It's going to be building up against tar or even rubber if you wish to go there. Okay. As you can see the stain up there. The stain up there is an indication that water is getting in behind the fire escape. But other than that, the fire escape seems to be in fairly good order. I'd say that the failure rate on this fire escape is about 25%. And all it's going to need really is just some general attention, a full paint job, and she's going to be ready. And again, she has to be load tested 5 years from now. So we can spot repair and load test, or we can fully refurbish the fire escape and avoid the load test for the next 15 to 25 years. Both budgets will be discussed at length, what needs to be done here. If you have any questions, fire escape engineers, inspector summary video. This is Cisco 866-649-0333, 866-649-0333. We're here in Rochester, New Hampshire.